What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? It's your boy, the Cleaver, Colin Andrew. I'm here tonight for the first time in a long time doing a live wrestling chat on my channel. So welcome back to everyone that has followed me along the way. And I'm joined tonight by Stephen Osborne. We have not seen him in a while. The Rated R reviewer is back. And how's it going, Steph?
It's going all right. Yeah, I've been busy working. Had a third shift job there for about 6 months. And for about 6 months, I was working 7 days a week. So there was no reviewing wrestling. There was no doing videos. But I took the holiday off. So here I am.
Hey, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, it's good to have you back.
Thank
So,
you.
the main topic tonight, man, it's Vince McMahon. Like, he's back on the board of directors. Like, he's back in a hardcore way. And
I mean, we can call it what it is. It was a hostile takeover.
yeah, it was some pimp shit if you think about it. As I said on the No DQ review this past Kitty, we're not playing with that right now. Okay, thanks.
I'll be right back.
No DQ review last week. I said the same thing. I'm like, this was some pimp shit from him. He had the controlling the stakes of the stock market through WWE and got his way back in. But now there's these lawsuits coming out. People, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Had to turn off the AC unit and grab my friends here.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. But like I said, man, he now has these lawsuits after weaseling his way back in. And what's going to happen now? I mean, I know there's been all the rumors of a sale for WWE. The last, I would say, 20 hours or so has been very WWE Saudi Arabia talk.
Yeah, at some point we were almost sure that was going through.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I know. I don't remember who reported it first. Was it Fightful? I can't remember.
No, it wasn't Fightful.
Was it?
I can pull it up if you want.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't remember who I heard it through first because there were so many things coming through our different group chats and just everyone, all the speculations were there and it was a done deal. And, I had a huge issue with that. If anyone's, follows me on Twitter out there, you saw, like, I have a huge issue with Saudi Arabia taking over it, for every female in that company.
Yeah, I would think anyone with a conscience has an issue with that.
Yeah, it's I don't really care where it goes. I mean, for fuck's sakes, Tony Khan could buy it. You know what I mean? I'd rather see it go to his ass than over to Saudi Arabia. I mean, we know every women's match would be at 9:30. We know he'd be out there hugging Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman and stuff. But I'd rather see that than it go to Saudi because that would put the company back so far in years and just I would fear for a lot of people, even like Sami Zayn, who refuses to go there due to ethnic and religious beliefs and stuff.
It's not just a refusal to go. Even if he wanted to go, they will not let him.
Let him in. And again, it comes down, like I said, to religious deals. You know what I mean?
Well, for them, it's the fact that he's Syrian.
Yeah.
They won't let him in. And for him, it's the fact that, basically the atrocious behavior that they have
endured
shown towards Syria. So his is more of a, it is more of a protest. And for them, it's like, no, you're not allowed in the country. Sorry, bro.
I mean, but still, I've seen a lot of things online that people are going to want to resign if it goes to Saudi Arabia. I know that the prince is willing to pay ridiculous money. So I wouldn't put it past Vince to do so because, I mean, but at the same time, he's 77 years old. How many good years do you think he's got left?
Well, in his body, he might have a few, but in his brain, we don't know. I have a 90-plus-year-old grandpa who is, other than his hearing going out a little bit, he's physically fit. He's probably got a healthier heart than I do, and his brain functioning is just fine. Now, would I trust him to run a multi-billion-dollar company? I don't know. But of all the people I know, I would give him a shot for sure. So age may or may not have anything to do with this. I think it's more of ego and pride.
Yeah, I've also said that Vince is one petty motherfucker. Uh, so this is, this is his way of, what was that old line he did back in when the NWO was coming?
He's going to inject the WWE with a lethal dose of poison.
Because if nobody can have it, or if I can't have it, nobody will.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know, man, but Stephanie leaving, like that is.
Well, let's rewind this.
Yeah,
because the last year of WWE has started off and been just bonkers. Talk about a year ago, just after the Royal Rumble, Shane McMahon gets fired. He doesn't leave.
Yep.
He's not ousted. He's fucking fired. And the word that came out was because he was, working for himself, trying to get, his character over in the Royal Rumble. He was trying to book it so that he looked strong. I even heard that he was going to put himself in the final four of the Royal Rumble. And at this point, honestly, I'm not sure if that's real or not. That could be, more WWE PR bullshit.
I mean, at this point, nobody knows.
And then fast forward to May, we have Stephanie McMahon, who I think saw the writing on the wall. She decided to take a leave of absence to spend time with her family. This was right after Triple H came back from his cardiac event, which we don't know what that means still. We don't know if he had a heart attack or if he was a borderline heart attack or what was going on. With all of these NFL players going down with heart problems.
Yep.
I've heard talk that one of the side effects of some of these COVID-19
heard the same thing.
What do you call it? The vaccines. One of the side effects is heart problems. And maybe that was, maybe he was the first one to go down, or one of the first ones. Fast forward a month into June, and all these allegations are coming out. There's a whistleblower somewhere. And they got word to the Wall Street Journal that Vince McMahon is being reviewed for sexual misconduct. And one event of sexual misconduct led to another event, and suddenly we have 4 different hush money contracts.
Situation. And this was the first story broke through the Wall Street Journal June 15th. So, and then June 17th, Stephanie was named interim CEO, and then Vince had his SmackDown appearance.
And then he decides to quote unquote retire. And I feel like Stephanie only came back because she knew that was happening. She doesn't want, I don't think she wants her name to be associated with what was going down with her father. But I also think about, she has 3 daughters and they're all starting to get to that age where these little things start making sense and they can put 2 and 2 together. And Mom, why on earth would you work for a company that treats women like this? And she had no answer for them other than, I guess I'll no longer work for this company anymore.
Family business.
So he leaves. She gets put in a position of power. Triple H gets put in a position of more power as far as the day-to-day, the creative, what goes on the television. And things look good for a while, but it didn't sit well with Vince McMahon.
Nope.
And I knew something was up when, and I've got an excerpt from NoDQ.com, screenshotted on my phone here. I knew something was wrong when he decided to come back, and along with his plans to come back were the plans to essentially change the bylaws of WWE so that nothing could get done without him, because he has voting shares. He only has I think 40% of the stock shares, but according to some people, there are different ways that stock is handled. So you have certain stocks that only pay out. You have certain stocks that give you voting rights. and they can give you more voting rights than the percentage of stocks that you have. He has like 80% of the voting rights when it comes to what goes on with that board. And so him making it basically holding the company hostage and saying, you're not going to be able to renew any of these TV deals. So if you don't put me back in charge, bye-bye USA, bye-bye Fox. You know, good luck having a WWE brand that can't get on TV. We saw how well that worked out for WCW. Eric Bischoff was this close to buying WCW and trying to turn it around. And as soon as AEW and Time Warner cut that TV deal, it was over. The only people that would want to buy it for the IP and the video stock. Mm-hmm. And that's what Vince McMahon did. He swooped in with the most amount of money because nobody else gave a shit anymore, because you can't put it on TV anymore. And he bought it all up.
For a ridiculously low price, too. Like, ungodly.
So he was not going to be just happy coming in and being reinstated to the board and being the chair of the board again. Mm-hmm. He wanted his company back. And there's really only one other way to do that in full, and that's to take the company private again, get rid of the board, get rid of the SEC, get rid of everybody that he has any accountability to, and just go private again.
Yeah.
And what's the way to go private? You have somebody like the Saudi royal family that's got billions of dollars of their people's money to invest, to buy the company and basically give him control back. And we should have seen it coming. This is something that he's probably been planning for the last 6 to 7 months since he got ousted.
I mean, I got a whole timeline of how this plays out right in front of me. June 15th, First Wall Street Journal. June 17th, Stephanie is named interim CEO, and Vince has that SmackDown appearance. June 20th, Vince shows up on Raw. The 21st, Bruce Pritchard is named interim head of talent relations. Second story in the Wall Street Journal breaks July 8th. July 22nd, Vince McMahon retires. Stephanie is the chairwoman / co-CEO. Nick Khan as well, the co-CEO. Triple H, EV of talent relations. July 25th, WWE press release with formal announcers and roles. Triple H announced head of creative. August 8th, Laurinaitis reports he was fired the week prior. December, another Wall Street Journal story breaks. January 5th, Wall Street Journal reports that Vince is making a return. The 6th, he returns to the board of directors. And January 10th, Stephanie resigns, and then Vince is named executive chairman. So from June to January, this went from all back again.
And what had to stuck in his craw even worse is the fact that ratings and public opinion, popularity of WWE have slowly risen since July. Since Triple H took over, everything's just been getting better and better and better, to the point where we had the highest rated Monday Night Raw in, I think they said 3 years. We had SmackDown, the last one of the year, drew over 3 million viewers, and they haven't done that. They haven't managed that kind of number in a long time. And I don't think he liked that somebody was running his company better than he could run it. And he said, enough is enough. I got my Saudi prince friend over here with all of his, pockets full of cash, and I have a way back in. And so let's do this. And I mean, to his credit and his business acumen, he fucking did it. We don't like it, but he did it.
I mean, there's really never been a person like him before. But, these lawsuits have returned now. There is a guy. Where's this out of?
Let's see. BloombergLaw.com is reporting that WWE shareholder Scott Fellows filed a lawsuit against Vince McMahon in the Chancery Court of Delaware on the 10th of July, 2023. He's being accused. Vince McMahon is being accused of wielding his 81% voting control to oust 3 board members, replace them with his cronies, and they use the word cronies in the actual legal document, George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, and push through bylaws that change bylaw changes that would impose his will on the board and the WWE. Following an investigation into allegations of sexual harassment against McMahon, the board unanimously determined it was not in the best interest of the company and its stockholders for McMahon to return to the WWE. He is currently being sued in an old case by Rita, what is it, Chatterworth, something, the old female referee that accused him back in the day of raping her, not sexual assault, not consensual, and then using WWE funds to make sure she doesn't talk about it. She's accusing him of rape. And I guess, I don't know if it was a New York bylaw, something, there was a law change somewhere that extended the statute of limitations for this kind of accusation, because she's long since passed the statute of limitations for it. But they opened it up for a year, and I think that was following, the Me Too movement and a lot of people finally feeling comfortable coming out and talking about these kind of assaults against them. And so they said, look, now that, people feel like they have people in their corner and they can actually talk about it, and there's some momentum here, let's give them a year to for anybody in the past whose time of limitations has come up to bring this back out into the open. So she has, it's like a 13-something million lawsuit going on, who, of course, Vince McMahon denies it. And there's no way to tell for sure whether she's truthful or not. But I kind of feel like, what are the odds that she would carry this for 30 years and then bring it back up if it wasn't true?
Yeah. Yeah, especially with the character we know Vince is now after all these other allegations and stuff.
God.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, in all of this, no one's talking about Linda. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was trying to talk about Linda.
Like,
I don't understand why she doesn't divorce his ass.
mm-hmm.
Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, I know they probably had prenups and stuff like that, but you got to think, at the end of the day, the quote Eddie Murphy half. You know what I mean? Like, especially
close to it.
Especially when I can't remember what year they got married, but it was I'm pretty damn sure it was before he bought the company from his father.
This was a long time ago. Yeah, this was before he was super successful.
Exactly.
And
so
she
she was on the board. She was, you know what I mean? She was all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? She was involved.
Well, look at it from another perspective here. She has been involved highly in politics.
Yes.
Like, she even ran for, was it mayor or governor of New York?
I thought it was Senate
or it might have been Connecticut. She ran for something. She's been highly involved.
Yeah, I remember.
She and him were both highly involved in the Trump administration. I remember that picture of them, with a bunch of other people behind his desk.
Yep.
And this kind of thing kind of destroys her reputation too. She's been married for decades to a guy that would do this, and how does she not know? How does she not know that he's paying millions of dollars to these women to shut up about the fact that he tried to, pawn them off on John Laurinaitis to have sex with, like they're sex toys? How does she not know these things? This makes her look bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I would think in a court of law, there's got to be some precedent for her to look for damages in a divorce hearing. But I don't know law, so.
I mean, I'm right there with you on that, but at the same time, like, will she ever do it? Because, I mean, it's been this long since all the news broke and all these other cases and this, that, and the other, and there's been no word of that. I mean, I feel that would probably be a real close to the chest thing for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, they would try to probably make it as quiet as possible. I know Vince would want to at least, but who knows the Linda, but she's been dealing with this guy for the last, well, let's see. Shane's like 50. I mean, I know Steph's 46. So, you know what I mean? So who knows how far it stems back from that? Because what year is the rape case you're talking about? What year did that happen? Ish.
I think it's late 80s.
Okay.
I'm not positive. I feel like if it was late 90s, that we would all have heard about it at some point.
So late 80s at this point. I mean, I was born in the late 80s. I'm an 88 baby. I'm 34. So 34, 35 years. I mean, that's a long time. So Steph would have been like 12, 10, somewhere around there. Is that around like the same time that Macho Man thing supposedly happened?
I'm looking it up now.
Okay. But yeah, man, there's just I don't know. Everything was going good, like you said. Like I was really enjoying the product again. I was excited to see the superstars that were let go that came back.
So she says that Vince McMahon raped her in the back of a limousine in New York in 1986.
Wow.
So we're talking 36 years ago. This was the year after I was born. Goes back a long way.
Yeah.
And, well, I think if you want to look at Vince or Linda McMahon's perspective, there's two ways to go about it. One, she's old. She's a grandma now. Maybe she's trying to get out of entertainment. She's trying to get out of politics, and she's just trying to live her life and be a grandma. And if she stays with Vince McMahon, she stays with the guy with all the money.
I mean,
but also she's a grandma of three granddaughters. And what kind of what's the word I'm looking for?
Role model?
She's setting, what kind of role model would she be? Yeah, there you go. What kind of example is she setting for them to say, well, yeah, I know that we all know that he did all of these things, and there's certain things pending that we think he might have done, but I'm just going to go ahead and stay with him anyway. What kind of cuck is she?
Well, and at the end of the day, too, she's got 3 grandsons on the other side from Shane. And
this is true.
I believe the one is in college. I believe he was playing football for IU.
Yeah, they're pretty old at this point.
Yeah, I know. I believe his name's Declan, the oldest one, Shane's oldest boy. I believe he's playing football over at IU. And so, he's got to be, 18, 19, maybe even 20 now, but I don't remember when that picture was taken. But still, like, so she's been grandma for a while.
So, like she's saying, if you make enough money and you do well enough for yourself, you can do anything you want, and your lady friend ain't gonna leave you because she's gonna want that Skrilla,
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what's going through her mind.
Yeah.
Maybe she is planning when all of this is said and done to leave him. Maybe.
I mean, who knows, man? Maybe she's got her own side D. You know what I mean? Just saying.
It's a good way to look at it. I mean, that's
who
a
knows?
possibility.
Like, all right, man, you do your thing. I'm going to do my thing, but I ain't paying for shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what's going to come up? I mean, but so if Vince were to sell the company, okay, and it's not to Saudi Arabia, who would you want to see buy the company? My first front runner is NBC Universal.
Well, they've already got a good track record with WWE. They kind of let them do their thing, and they broadcast it. And they've been with USA, other than the few years they were on the new TNN/Spike TV. They've been with USA for decades now, and that's kind of been their home base. Fox wouldn't like it very much, but if Fox doesn't have the money for it, and they may not, I'm not sure that I would want Fox/Disney to pick up WWE, because as soon as Disney picks it up, that PG rating is not going anywhere ever. No, they're not gonna have a product like that and be TV 13.
I don't know, because if you look at Disney Plus, man, they have pretty decent selection of TV 14 stuff on there. I'm just throwing that out there. And one thing I brought up on the good old NoDQ.com review this past Sunday night at 8 p.m., every Sunday night at 8 p.m., over on NoDQ.com's YouTube channel. What if ABC picked them up, or Disney picked them up because they own ABC? What would happen to Raw? Raw could potentially take over the slot of Monday Night Football completely, and Monday Night Football could go to ESPN instead, because ESPN's owned by Disney as well. But if if Disney picks it up, goodbye $9.99 pay-per-views. Hello, $60 pay-per-views, just like every MMA fight is, every boxing pay-per-view. Say goodbye to those days, because Disney's some greedy motherfuckers.
I hear what you're saying about their TV 14 shows on Disney Plus, because I know Disney Plus has two settings. You have your regular setting, and then you have your enter your password so that you can be considered an adult and watch some of these programs.
Yep.
But honestly, I haven't seen much of a difference in what you can watch as a kid versus what you can watch as an adult.
I mean, there's some things they probably couldn't do, but I feel they wouldn't have to tweak it too much. I feel it'd be more of a, hey, don't say shit, don't say bitch, don't, you know what I mean? Like things like that a little bit more. I mean, I don't know.
I think just because
I'd take Disney over Saudi.
Well, absolutely Disney over Saudi, but I think there's a factor here of money and viewership. And if Disney wants to get max viewership out of something that they're going to spend billions and billions of dollars for the IP, they're going to make sure that everybody can watch, not just adults. You know, if your kid pulls up Disney Plus, they can go right to WWE with no problem. They don't have to be like, hey, mom, hey, dad, can I watch this? Can you put me on your account so I can watch my wrestling?
Well, yeah, then, because you can never be able to get the video library for pretty much anything, especially what we grew up on watching on Disney Plus. But again, it could go to ESPN, man. That's how they could make the money. They could put it on ESPN.
But you're talking a smaller audience. Your big audience, so with Netflix, it's real easy. It's on Netflix. With Disney,
Amazon?
With Amazon, it'd be on Prime. With Disney, it would be on Disney Plus, and you would have, because that's where most people have Disney Plus. Not everybody has ESPN Prime or whatever the fuck it is. You know, it's going to be on the platform that can and will get the most views, and it will never go back to TV 13 fucking ever. I can almost guarantee you that if Disney buys it.
So
go ahead.
No, finish up.
If it stays with NBC Universal, it's a possibility. It's a possibility we could, maybe not to the extent that, you know, the old school Raw was, where, you know, where Sable comes out with, maybe not to that extent, but at the very least, there wouldn't be that choker on the product.
No, exactly. No, and that was what I was going to ask you. Like, so what would your opinion be on NBC Universal, Comcast, whatever you want to call it, picking it up?
I think that it would stay where it's at.
And I think very much so as well.
It would be on Peacock. You'd be able to watch Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown on Peacock.
Well,
it would have the rating up in the corner, but it would leave the parents to decide whether or not their kids can watch it. I think HBO Max would be a great. Could you imagine WWE on HBO? I mean, come on.
It would be cool, but also throwing it over again to Disney real quick. FX. You could
suppose, but again,
it's Always Sunny is on there. But yes, it is a tiny bit smaller of a platform. But if you look through most streaming services these days, because a lot of our generation has switched over to that instead of cable. Shout out to Mikey T, Port Car Radio. we've switched over to streaming services. Our parents' generation are the ones that are still stuck on cable network. Like I've tried to get my old man to switch, save him some money. He's like, no. If I want to watch Fox, I want to hit 08 on my remote and it goes right to it. Like, I mean, I get that. I miss that a little bit. But again, we're that generation that pretty much every streaming service I've seen has FX on it.
Well, if you have NBC Universal pick it up, then you have NBC. You have a
Yeah.
broadcast channel. You don't need cable. You don't need
It's
streaming
just
service.
it's just like
and
it's
an
just
antenna.
it's just like Fox with SmackDown. Which again, I think SmackDown would stay NBC.
I think the best option as far as money to spend, but also freedom with creative, would be Amazon. Because Jeff Bezos just wants that money. He would buy it. He would give them all of the freedom that they want to do the product that they want, and he would just put it on his channel and watch the money roll in.
And honestly, it's worked out decent for the NFL so far with their Thursday night games on Amazon Prime. And and when it comes to pay-per-views, you could charge that 10, 15 bucks. You have to pay that for it. It's not just a here you go, like a Raw or a SmackDown being on there. It's, hey, you want to watch this? Kind of like when you'd sign up through Fight TV or Bleacher Report or anything else. All right, this is an upcoming attraction. Pay your price. Okay, you bought it. We'll go live, and then you can watch it again after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like it would actually make the premium live events feel like premium events again, because when you're paying an extra amount of money to watch them every weekend, it gives them something to shoot for to keep people paying that money.
Instead of just paying $9.99 for
everything,
all the WWE stuff, all the Office stuff, all the Parks and Rec, everything else on Peacock. Yellowstone, the movies, you name it. Like you're paying extra just for that event, so you're going to want to make it more special so people keep buying them, even if they up the price to $15, $20. Like I believe most of the Impact Wrestling things on Fight are like $20, I believe, but I'm not going to go back to paying 30, 40, $50 to watch WWE, like especially besides a few key pay-per-views. Like WrestleMania this year was banging. SummerSlam was banging. I thought Survivor Series was good. I thought the pay-per-view when Brock and Roman and the Tractor had a three-way in the ring, like I thought that was a good pay-per-view. But recently, I still call them pay-per-views. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like it's I still call it the what is it? I don't even know. Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse here in Cleveland. I still call it the Gund Arena, and that's been through like 3 or 4 name changes. Like Jacobs Field, it's always Jacobs Field, not Progressive. Just things like that.
I mean, personally speaking, I get my Peacock through Comcast, through Xfinity. I've got my internet through them, and because I do that, I get Peacock for free. Got this little box over here, and it's the only thing I use it for is Peacock. And honestly, I rarely use it. When I want to watch Raw or SmackDown, I can't watch them when they're live. I'm usually third shift, so I end up going and finding places online that we won't mention that
it is what it is.
that rebroadcast them. And honestly, even though I can go on my Peacock and I can watch the pay-per-views for free, well, essentially for free, I don't. I still go to the same sites because there's no commercials, there's no layover, there's no lag. I watch what WWE puts out, and that's all I have to view. Whereas if I watch it with Peacock, every now and then, probably between every match, you've got 3 or 4 or 5 minutes where either you get commercials if you've got the cheap version, or you have WWE version of commercials if you've got the premium version.
Yep.
And I don't like that. I don't think anybody likes ads anymore.
Nope. I hate it. I absolutely hate ads, but it is what it is. But I don't know, dude. It's just there's too many places it can go. I just wanted to go to some good hands because, again, I've been watching since, like 1990. I don't know. I was still living. I moved away, like, my sister and I are a year and a half apart. And we moved away when she was 6 months old. So I was just about 2.5, I think, somewhere around there. Uh, we moved away, but I was still living in town here, the town I still live in now, but I moved back. But I remember, like, my grandpa and my papa and I was always watch stuff together. I think it was, what was it? Sting Vader Starcade 91,
Hey,
something
Chris.
like that. Like, my papa bought the pay-per-view because he was a huge WCW fan, huge Sting fan. Like, that's who got me into this. So I've been watching him, let's just say, like, 32 years. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it hasn't been as much for me.
I don't want to quit watching it, because, it's just like, it's kind of like a part of me. Like, I was talking to my wife, and you know, like, if he sells a Saudi, I'm done. I'm like, and we're gonna
Yep.
have so much free time to watch so much shit we're behind on because I watch wrestling 3 nights a week. I mean, granted, I work Monday nights, so I normally miss half of Raw at least, and then I'll finish it, and then I'll start it a little bit the next day, or just get recapped with Aaron Rift over at NoDQ.com. You can check out his recaps. Um, but that's how if I want to see a segment, I'll go track it down on YouTube, or just scroll on my phone, and it all goes to my DVR anyways. But what's up, Chris Willis? Good to see you, you beautiful bastard. But yeah, this is kind of like a little reunion. We got Chris in the chat, we got me and you on the screen and shit. Like, I mean, Chris, do you want me to send you the
Yeah,
link?
send him that link.
I'm gonna send you a link.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll recap. My experience is similar, but not. I grew up poor, so we didn't have cable for the longest time. I would catch wrestling every now and then on a Saturday when it was on free broadcast TV. And my guy was Hulk Hogan, just like most people. And I really got into wrestling in '97 when the NWO formed. I got on the bandwagon with everybody else, all my friends around the block. We were all watching WCW. I didn't get into WWE for probably a year or more because I didn't realize that when WCW went off the air at 10 o'clock, one channel down was WWF for the next hour. And from that point on, that's what I would do. I would watch my WCW Nitro from 8 to 10. And then from 10 to 11:05, I would watch my Raw. Or their Raw. They were more into that than I was. I love the NWO. So I've been watching since I was 12, so 25 years now. And I don't want to give it up either. And what's sad, when I realized that the possibility of WWE going to Saudi Arabia was on the table, I realized that the whole shape of the wrestling landscape was about to change in a
Oh yeah.
big way.
Mm-hmm.
And what's sad is I didn't think to myself, I guess I'm going to have to start watching AEW now.
Oh, I did.
I did not, because I haven't been watching it. I think I watched the first episode or two of Dynamite, and I haven't watched it since. I just don't really have the time to add all those extra hours of wrestling into my week. It's hard enough for me to keep up with WWE and NXT. I missed like 5 or 6 weeks of NXT that I have
Dude,
not been able to go back and catch up
it's
on.
fine. You're not missing jack fucking shit because NXT is pretty dog shit anymore. It is. It's background noise out of habit for me on Tuesdays, and if I want, I'll put something else on. I'll check it out on my phone. Like, there's, let's see, what's good about NXT? We'll just rattle it off, and for me, real quick, what's good? The fact that they just promoted Tyler Bate coming back, which is a good thing because we haven't seen him since the unification match. Carmelo Hayes is the best male wrestler in that brand, and he's fucking incredible.
Love to hate Carmelo Hayes.
I exactly. But he's that damn good. Breaker is doing his family proud. He's a little weird on the mic, but what Steiner isn't. Uh, you know, and I don't know, man. There's not a whole lot. Grayson Waller, I want to throw that kid. just throw him through the fucking brick wall.
Well, you know, my love of NXT goes back, and it's pretty
I
deep. You
know,
know,
just like, I mean, I trust me. I mean, fucking 4 years ago, me and you and Jerry and Chris Willis and Cindy and Owen and James and everybody. I mean, we had that cluster of, we were the NXT guys. I
the
mean,
NXT team. Yep.
like 3 years ago today, I was at an NXT event in Warren, Ohio, and got moved from balcony to front fucking row, heel corner side.
I remember that for you.
And that was like the coolest event. I got so many pictures. Like, oh, dude, I was
Yeah, I saw your update today on Facebook.
Yeah, that was, that was our shit. Like, I was more invested in NXT and NXT UK than I was
in WWE,
in
because
WWE.
WWE was fairly dog shit at that point.
Exactly. And that's why Tuesdays, Wednesdays, I can't remember when it was at that point. I smoke a lot of weed, dude. It is what it is. But, like, that was the creme de la creme. And speaking of, NXT now, there is a really promising young man, Charlie Dempsey, aka William Regal's kid, his clone, his twin. Jesus Christ, I've never seen, like, I'm still astonished. And I have to say it every time I see him on my TV screen. I'm like, oh my God, he looks so much like his father. And that kid is promising. And with Vince coming back, I hope William Regal's not scared off and it's like, nah, I'm good. This, that, and the other. I know William Regal, Steven Regal, whatever you want to call him, has some thick ass skin. Oh, cool, dude. I got some dude from France. I don't
Nice. Hello, Brian.
I don't know how to say hi in France. I can't remember, but
bonsoir.
Bonjour. Is that it?
Or yeah, bonjour. There you go.
Bonjour. Thanks for popping in, dude. Make sure to subscribe, like the video if you can. It goes.
He says, I'm 25
much.
and I started watching wrestling all the way back in the mid 2004 in the middle of the ruthless aggression era. That was a good time to get in.
That was a really good time to get in.
Let me tell you, that was back when we started actually paying for the WrestleMania every year. We'd get our money together, and that's the one show we would watch, except for New Year's Revolution.
That was
the very first Elimination Chamber, the very first cash in of the Money in the Bank. That was a pay-per-view that we actually were like, you know what? Let's break our routine of only watching WrestleMania every year, and let's get this one. Exactly. And it was totally worth it.
So yeah, mid 2004, I was sophomore high school. So yeah, that was a good time. That was when Cena was Cena world champ by then, or was he still messing with the U.S. champ?
He might have been right there around the U.S. title.
I can't remember. Is that when he like got stabbed by Carlito's boy? Like, it could have been.
I don't remember.
Or was that the year he beat JBL at WrestleMania? I think that was the year he beat JBL at WrestleMania.
That tracks for me. So,
but yeah, that's a good time. Thanks again, Brian, for checking in all the way from France. That's got to be late for you, man.
Yeah,
you're what, like 5 hours? I know England's
5 or 6 hours. Yeah,
I know the UK is 5 hours ahead of us right now in London. So, thanks for staying up
on
late.
Midnight over there,
right?
Well, harkening back to NXT, my loyalty runs deep, and I gave NXT the benefit of the doubt through the year-long trial of NXT 2.0, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try and see the positives for what they are. And the positives were they started bringing up guys that were brand new and green as hell, and they weren't great, but you saw the potential. And there's a lot of positives in NXT right now, a lot of future positives. I mean, Andre Chase. I fucking love Andre Chase. As the Rated R reviewer, the guy that is allowed to say fuck on NXT, granted it's bleeped, most of his cursing is bleeped, but he gets on there and he just says whatever the fuck he wants to, and they'll bleep it later. You've got what's his name? The leader of the Schism,
Joe Gacy. I love Joe Gacy. I love Joe Gacy, but I am sick of what they've done with the grizzled young veterans, James Drake and Zach Gibson. it pisses me off so bad. And
Well,
every time I see Gibson with the stupid cane contact, like, oh my god, I just
you got to look at the positives. It gave them something different to do. It pulled them out of the rut they were in. They are in NXT has got one of the deepest tag divisions in the entire wrestling division or in the entire wrestling landscape.
yeah. And you got New
And
Day down there dicking around now.
they were just another tag team in the crowd, and now they've got something else to do. Another positive, when the schism finally implodes and Joe Gacy breaks out, they'll go back to being who they were, and they're going to get such a big pop for being the grizzled young veterans again, I believe. Of course, I was big on NXT UK as well.
Mm-hmm.
I always try to look at the positives. And with NXT 2.0, they finally did what I thought they should have been doing with NXT for the longest time. Instead of bringing in all of these indie wrestlers, which granted are good, they're good wrestlers, they're great in the ring, they're okay on the mic. They started finally using the Performance Center for what it should have been, is a place to bring in brand new faces and turn them into wrestlers. It's where Goldberg started. That's the kind of idea that got us Goldberg. Was WCW had their I don't remember what it was called, but they had their wrestling training school, and he came straight out of that. He wasn't an indie wrestler. Nobody had heard of him before, but they turned him into a star. And that's what WWE should have been doing with the Performance Center all along. They should have been bringing in people that were brand new to the business, training them up and putting them in the ring and giving them a platform to be on TV and learn the craft, while also giving fans a chance to get to know them before they eventually brought them up to WWE. Problem with that is, mostly at the beginning of the 2.0 era, is all of that kind of happened all at once. They either fired or let the contracts expire or called up all of these guys out of NXT to get the old guard out, and they started a whole fresh new thing. And now everybody's stuck in NXT because you can't get rid of these great performers without leaving a vacuum, a void that you have to fill with brand new, and they're afraid to fill them with these brand new people because they don't know, are these guys going to be stars like Joe Gacy? Are they going to be stars like Braun Breaker? We don't know. So when is Braun Breaker finally going to get called up? He should have been called up 6 months ago. But,
Yeah,
if you call him up, what do you do with his spot?
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't have anybody else there. Cameron Grimes is gone. I also believe that Cameron Grimes is Uncle Harper.
That might be where they're going, but I think Bo Dallas is the one behind the mask right now.
Well, there's two different masks. The person we saw on Monday messing with Alexa was a different mask than the person who showed up and attacked Bray. And they filed those trademarks at the same damn time. People are thinking it's Vincent. It's Vincent. Vincent's got dreadlocks. You ain't cutting that shit off and growing it back in 3 weeks. You know what I mean? And
well, there's always the wig. Kane wore one for the longest time.
Yeah, I know, but I still think it's Cameron Grimes.
I think the fact that we're debating this right now shows how good Triple H is in creative.
No,
He's making sure that nobody is 100% sure who Uncle Howdy is.
Well,
and that's the way it should be.
And supposedly, he's not even taking the costume off backstage. Like, he disappears in the costume and just nobody knows. Like, and I've seen that on quite a bit through Twitter and through NoDQ, and just they're holding it very close to the vest. And that's another thing that scares me. If Vince back at head of the board, we know how he was with Bray Wyatt. He didn't like him. He fucking hated him.
The positive about the Saudi government buying WWE, and I know it's the people's fund or whatever, and it's not necessarily the government, but basically it's the Saudi prince buying WWE to be his new toy. The positive with that is they no longer have to worry about financials. They don't have to worry about making, firing people because their contracts are too big and they want to make the business look in a better situation for selling. Mm-hmm. They can go back to picking up everybody and their grandma to make sure AEW doesn't have anybody to work with.
Yep.
And it'll be the same as it was before, where it's a detriment to creative because you've got a bloated roster and you don't know what to do with everybody. But at the very least, there's a possibility that we don't have to worry about our favorites getting fired for no fucking reason.
That is true, especially after how many people they brought back already. I mean, shit.
Yeah, Triple H was rolling the dice there.
Mm-hmm. He sure was. But it's good for now that he's still in charge of creative. But in the end, I guess it's...
Other than that, how else do you see WWE possibly changing if the Saudi public fund does buy up the company?
I see women's wrestlers having to probably change their dress code dramatically.
Possibly.
Less promos from them.
Definitely.
Again, my major issue is the fact that the way they treat their women and have their women's rules and stuff. And we see how they go to their country for the 2 shows mandatory a year now. They're covered from neck to wrist to ankle in a one-piece deal, normally a t-shirt over top of it. They get no words. Boom, boom, boom. Quick, easy, no, and I don't know, man.
Well, that's something that happens in Saudi, but you got to consider that this is still going to be an American
it
broadcast.
is, but again, they own it, and I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, they can technically control it, because if their people are going to be watching it, I mean, I know they still do, but they can have that control over it now. There's,
true.
That's... Again,
anybody in the LGBTQ community is immediately
fucked.
They're basically gone. If they don't quit, they're going to be either fired or they're going to be squashed down to the point to where they want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost a given, just because of their beliefs.
Yep.
Now I know that the Saudi prince is trying to, make small changes and small strides in women's rights. So there is a possibility that, maybe they'll tone down the wardrobe of the women, but honestly, I'm not sure that's such a bad idea. I feel like let's use this as an example. I finally watched NXT, or I watched NXT's New Year's Evil,
mm-hmm.
and the return of what's her name, Tiffany Stratton. Anybody notice a couple of big differences in Tiffany Stratton when she returned to NXT on Tuesday? She got herself some tit implants, and I wonder why. Because when she left, it was still mostly, Vince's company. Mm-hmm. And I mean, ask Stephanie McMahon, how do you get pushed better on screen? You get a boob job.
Throw some D's on that bitch.
Oh my goodness. So it might, WWE in the last several decades has probably leaned a little too heavy to the TNA. Maybe they don't have the bra and panties matches.
They don't do the pudding fights and the bra and panty and the gravy bowl and stuff anymore.
But the women still come out even when they've got a full body.
I know. Trust me. I mean, when was
patches
it?
That you can see through.
How many titty slips did Carmella have? Like two WrestleManias ago. There was like 3 in one match. I get it, but at the same time, it's what we're used to. We grew up in the era, we were just, some horny young lads.
Well, I'm still a horny young lad. I appreciate it, but at the same time, I can appreciate, maybe the women don't want to have to go out there and sell sex in order to sell their wrestling skills.
That cut a lot of people out then, because look at all the things that people post on their own shit. Like, it's not like they're out there doing it. Look at their Twitter. They're all like, oh, everybody's in a, I gotta do this swimsuit edition, blah blah blah. Look at the Nighthearts. You know what I'm saying? I mean, their dad was a jobber without Brett, but still,
Well, we know that the Saudi prince loves his old school WWE, and we're talking golden age, not necessarily the ruthless aggression or the
They're they're gonna make a new Ultimate Warrior because I remember they wanted Ultimate Warrior and he was dead for how many years? Like,
so gimmicks are going to be outlandish. It's going to be less realism. One of the things I wanted to bring up when we were talking about companies that might buy it that aren't Saudi, one of the positives of possibly Disney buying it or a company like that is they can forcefully infuse writers into the company that can do a job that WWE hasn't been able to do thus far, and that's create storylines that relate to people in real life now.
I mean, it'd be nice.
We're not going to see that if the Saudi regime takes over.
No,
There's not going to be relatable television in WWE anymore. It's all going to be over the top shit. And some people like that. But I think when you're sitting down to watch something that's strictly entertainment at this point, we know it's not a sport.
no,
Titles are meaningless without a storyline.
it's sports.
When you know that the winner is going to be
Entertainment.
predetermined.
Good old sports entertainment. You know what I mean? Is the 2.0 over on AEW likes to say. But I'm gonna start wrapping this up.
Okie dokie.
We're almost at an hour. I want to go say goodnight to my kid for start reading books and stuff. It is what
Gotcha.
it is. I'm always in dad mode for the most part. But I mean, any last thoughts on Vinnie Mac real quick?
If Vince gets back into creative power, I'm done. And I might be done with wrestling as a whole because I'm not sure that I want to get into AEW because it's still, for as much success as they had, they're still less than a number 2 company. They're still fairly fledgling, and based on Brawl Out and the fallout from that, there's a lot of things that could go wrong that could end the company before it even really has a chance to become something that the mainstream considers long term. So I'm really hopeful that at the very least it doesn't get sold to Saudi, because as soon as it gets sold to Saudi, we know where it's going.
Yep.
And they could decide that Vince McMahon isn't the right guy, and they could try maybe give the job to Triple H. But would Triple H really? I feel like Triple H is being held hostage at this point. Stephanie left.
Yep.
She had the ability to go, but Triple H is now babysitting, and I use that term loosely. He's now babysitting the rest of the roster that has nobody else in their corner but him. He's like Marlin in Finding Nemo. He now has what's left of what he built in the last 6 months to try to protect as best he can while he can. And if he's gone and Vince McMahon comes back in, I'm done. And I really hope that enough of the wrestlers are done too, that let's say the Monday Night Raw or the Friday Night SmackDown, after they announce Vince McMahon's back in creative control, everybody walks out. There's no show to be had because there's nobody there to wrestle. Yep. That would be amazing. But it's to be seen.
It's to be seen, and you got to get everybody on the same page, because there's some people, like some families run real deep. Some families ain't gonna show. You can run a whole fucking show with just the bloodline. You know what I mean? Get a couple droppers and be like, "Yo, I'll pay you this much." Blah 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 blah. People are gonna jump on that. But if enough people do, and at the same time, real quick, I don't want to see a bunch of people leave WWE, because where are they going to go? An already flooded AEW?
No.
Or Impact that half the country can't watch?
My hope would be that Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, and a number of people that actually care about the product would bind together. They would find somebody like a Jeff Bezos or whomever and get the backing and do what Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega did. Start their own company. It's the best we could hope for.
It's the best we can hope for, and time will tell on all of this. But all I know is this is a complete shit show. But again, I'm hoping at the end of the day, 6 months to a year from now, if not sooner, I'm not like, all right, my Mondays are open, my Tuesdays are open, my Fridays are open. The passion that I've had for 30 years is done because, I watch AEW as much as I can tolerate it. But again, like you said, there's a lot of twerks it needs. But we'll see
from what
what's
I've
up.
heard, AEW is great in the ring, not so much when it comes to story. And you got to have both.
Yeah, you do. You really, really do. So
well, fingers crossed we keep Triple H at least through the Royal Rumble. Double fingers crossed that if this is true, that the sale takes long enough that we'll get him through Mania. And we'll get one last great Mania before it all falls apart.
And we all know that, any true wrestling fan knows that wrestling season is WrestleMania to WrestleMania. So new season, new regime, whatever. But I don't know, man. Thanks for stopping. This was fun. We should try
this was great. It's been so long.
Yeah, I know. It's been a while. And yeah, man. Anything you want to plug or anything real quick?
No, I really don't do this much anymore. The channel's kind of become defunct. But if I ever pick it up again, you'll be the first to know.
All right. Sounds good, man. And again, if you like this, make sure to click that like. It helps out with the algorithm. Subscribe, share this with a friend, and give me a follow right there at NoDQ Colin Andrew on Twitter. And leave your comments in the comment section and let me know what you think on Vince or anything else we've talked about tonight. And I'll try to be back soon with another video like this. But yeah.
Well, don't forget to go hit up NoDQ.com. Without them, there'd be no Rated R Reviewer. There'd be no Colin Andrew.
So go buy some merch. I got a new shirt up there. You can buy this hat up there. It's a nice snapback. It's green underneath. I got a new shirt, and this isn't it, but the office is dope, and this is comfortable, and my basement's cold. So
nice shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Same to you. You.
Yeah, orange iguanas, man. Yeah, gotta represent that orange.
Yeah. Legends of the Hidden Temple, if you don't know, everybody. But 90s babies, 80s babies, throwing it back to the classic TV and classic game shows like they should bring back. But anyways, that's another topic for another night. For the Rated R reviewer, Stefan Osborne, I'm the Cleaver Colin Andrew, and we'll see y'all next time. Thanks for stopping. See ya.